Hello, fabulous Leo. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of March 2014, Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Last month, I talked about the importance of give and take in love. Now, this month, the focus becomes much more on conversations and agreements. And this is really valuable because looking ahead, when I look at the energy next month, there's very much this energy of let's lock this thing down. Let's set up house. Is this stable? Is this strong? And I'll be here to talk about it then at that time. But what happens now and the ways in which you're able to communicate now and receive communication and the agreements that you're able to make where it comes to love are going to speak largely to what you actually end up wanting to do next month, what it is that you actually end up solidifying or not. And so right now, this is the time when I'm seeing a lot of messages come in. Now, for some of you, that's going to be, it looks like there's an element there. When I look at last month, there's an element there of mixed messages happening last month. And all of that is about of you understanding what it is that you really want in love. This month, the clarity starts to come. So I spoke about it largely in the weekly horoscopes that I do. But last month, we had Mercury going retrograde in your opposite sign. And this month, Mercury will go direct in your opposite sign. And so when Mercury goes retrograde, there can be mixed messages. And also, the whole picture may not be clear and more information needs to come out. Once Mercury goes direct and retraces the steps of the retrograde, that is when the clarity starts to come. And so you're spending much of this month on that clarity, especially in the first part of the month. You're spending a lot of this month really understanding what it is, not only that you want, but what it is that other people have actually been trying to say to you, what it is that other people have actually been demonstrating to you, and you're able to separate your desires and your hopes from what is actually there. I'm seeing all of this lead you in a direction of greater happiness and greater upliftment and greater freedom as well, and a greater sense of closeness to another person. But you've got to trust that process. And you've got to trust the messages that come through now and your instant sort of gut reaction to them. Because what I am seeing is the likelihood of you sort of getting a message that's almost identical, whether it's in writing or text message or phone message or even just a conversation. And it's almost as if there's a feeling of deja vu with you hearing the words and you know you've heard this before, but all of a sudden you understand what this other person means more accurately and you understand it differently. And that adds a very important layer to the direction in which you are meant to go at this point in your life and in the larger sense as well. It does look like you're moving in a direction of being able to speak your truth and being able to be honest about your feelings and honest about what you want. And that will, in the larger sense, make love much more likely in your life and make love much more meaningful as well. But it's going to ask you to tap into the bravery. I talked about bravery in last month's general overview. I mentioned it in this month's general overview that you've demonstrated great bravery. Now, also, the bravery comes when you actually speak a lot of those emotions and you speak a lot of those feelings. So those of you who are attached and working in a bond with somebody, I do think that the likelihood of you also having understood a message one way and now getting the clarity that you need, whether or not you realize that you need it, is very, very likely now. And it does look like as a result of some key conversations, you're able to decide on the future direction of the bond. Those of you who have somebody sort of in your sphere, again, a lot of communication, a lot of connection is happening. But for you in particular, I do think that the likelihood of you communicating with a third party, and it looks very innocent on the surface, but you having that communication with someone else is in turn going to allow you to understand what it is that you really want with the person that you are with right now, making it that much more meaningful, the bond that you currently have. And what I am seeing is a possible scenario for some of you is almost a very innocent, almost superficial, surface level flirtation that allows you to see just what it is that you have right now and allows you to clarify whether or not it's worth the work, whether or not it's worth having continued conversations over, having continued negotiations over, and coming to some agreements about the future direction of the bond. If it's worth it, if it's not, And I do think that for some of you, I think it's going to end up bringing you closer to this other person. But there is a percentage of you out there that I think are going to end up being really honest with yourselves about who it is that you've currently aligned yourself with and where it isn't working. And as a result of this flirtation, it ends up making you brave enough to make a decision. But the decision looks very self-directed on your part. And those of you who are open to love, I do think that the possibility of you actually having interactions that teach you more about what you're looking for is very likely. Actually solidifying things, as I said, next month it looks like a month of really solidifying things and saying, okay, let's lock it down. Let's make this thing secure. But this month it's more about communicating and flirting. And so if there is somebody, it's very likely that you're having online interactions, online flirtations. Any meetings that happen seem to begin online, or at least in the realm of writing and messaging. And so with that process, be open to it, because ultimately it is about your learning, and all of it is about preparing you for greater love and greater wisdom than you've known before. As I said, this month it doesn't look like anything really gets very solidly decided with love, but it does look like next month is the time when things really start to come together and you understand what direction in which you want to take your love life and what direction you want to take your current flirtations that take place for you this month. All in all, though, you are being asked to speak your truth and speak your desires in love, and to speak what is in your heart. You are asked to turn emotion into intellect and language. And if you can master that skill, that will benefit you now in moving towards greater love, but also in the larger picture of your love life as well. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.